Hello, and welcome to a special episode of Breaking Down the Tape.
Woo!
I am Papa Smurf.
Hector, I said what I said, and we got that special guest today for you guys.
We got Super Bowl winning running back Robert Turbin joining us today. He's going to be talking about his experiences in the NFL, in college, and just answering a whole bunch of geeky questions that fans like Hector and I have to ask. So before we get into it, Robert, thank you for coming on, man. Please let everybody know where to find you, where to find like your philanthropy efforts that we'll be going over later and stuff.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm super excited. Hector said what I said. I have a quick question about that, though. It's like, what that has to come from something. You must have a lot of hot takes, cold takes. What's the deal with that?
I'm cutthroat. Like I said, we cuss and all that, and what I say is what I say, and I hold to it. That's it.
You don't hold nothing back.
I'm worse than
what it is.
Nate Smith and all them other guys. I'm mashed up, and I'm a nut.
I gotta give him credit, right or wrong or otherwise. Hector says what he says, and he stands on it. He owns it. If he winds up being wrong, he's like, I don't care. I said what I said, and he'll own it, man. That is a lifestyle for him.
I respect it. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on the show.
Of course.
I'm Robert Turbin, former NFL running back. I went to school at Utah State, as you guys know, man. Very different environment for me, but loved every moment of it. Growing up in California, I'm a Bay Area native. So I did grow up a 49er fan. Most of my family were Raider fans, but I liked winners, and so as a young boy, watching the 49ers win titles, even when Joe Montana, I remember that even as a younger, like basically like a baby,
Sure.
Those moments happening and stuff like that, seeing the highlights or whatever. So 49er fan, Bay Area native. Yeah, man, all my Instagram and social media stuff, Twitter, my YouTube channel, LinkedIn, Facebook, it's all at robertjturbin.com, or excuse me, just Robert J. Turbin. My website is robertjturbin.com, which is where you can find information about my foundation and all of philanthropy and events and charity stuff that I'm doing. So yeah, man, a lot going on. Appreciate you guys having me on the show.
Yeah, you do, man. I know that we were talking last week and you had a big event on Saturday. Like I said, we'll get into a lot of that stuff later, but I'm hoping it went well. I mean, you got a big smile on your face. So I saw some of the pictures on LinkedIn. So it looked like it went well. It looked like everybody had a good time. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah. Oh, you got to go to the gram if you really want to see some photos.
Oh, yeah. I was just on it right now.
I got to give some advice.
I mean, I had them all in my story. I never posted so many pictures on my story before ever. I mean, I might have posted 100 pictures. I mean, there were just so many great photos taken during that charity event. The event, I do it in my hometown where I grew up, and it was just so fortunate. I mean, we were so fortunate that we were able to even pull it off this year and do the event.
Sure.
We'd done it before. We started it in 2017. We went 17, 18, 19. And then in 2020, we got up to about 2 weeks before the event. And we had to cancel because of COVID, obviously, and all of the restrictions that were kind of going around, especially in the Bay Area. We wanted to do it again in 2021, but once again, had to cancel it. But we were able to bring it back this year.
That's awesome, man.
It was really special for the community. Everybody loves coming out.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And like I said, we're definitely going to get into that. I want to hopefully end there so that we have the most amount of time to really end on such a positive note and end with the last word in people's head, being where to find all of those things and all the amazing things that you do. So if it's cool with you, we'll just kind of start with football and we'll kind of go into that.
I just want to say that one of the greatest things about this is that Zach was like, yeah, I reached out to him to send him the promo we're going to release. And he was like, can you just change the number to 22? That's my number. That's my number. Like, that's my number. 22 is my thing. All my sports was 22. So I'm like, oh man, this is even better.
You know what? If I could go back and do it over again, I would have never changed my number to 32. That, you try not to go through life with any regrets, right? You just kind of boom, things are going to happen up, down, everything in between. But that's one thing, like if I could just redo one day, it would be that. I don't know what I was
I
thinking.
gotta try to go find myself a Robert Turbin 22 jersey.
There you
They're
go.
out there, man. May
There
not
you
be
go.
as many, but they're out there.
Hell yeah. So if I do find one, by the way, I am shipping it out to you for you to sign it. If
Oh
that's
yeah, I
cool.
need a
Just wanna let you
signature.
know that.
I need a Robert Turbin
It's all
signed
good.
jersey.
It's all good. It's gonna be about, you know what I'm saying, a couple hundred that, might cost you something. No, I'm just saying.
You're starting to say a couple 100,000 now. You didn't
Nah, man, it's love, man. I wouldn't do that.
So the first question I have, so I mean, you've played in college, you've played in the NFL, you've played in indoor football in the FCF, if I remember correctly. So I've always been Hector and I have always been the biggest proponents of like college to the NFL. Yes, it's football, but it's a completely different sport. So can you kind of walk us through just like the differences between those three levels of football and the different challenges and similarities that kind of come with that?
Yeah, I'll start with college and NFL just because the FCF is kind of its own entity.
Sure.
It's really on its own island. I don't know if I could really merge that one into the other two, but college football has evolved. Really, football overall has evolved so much. Obviously, it's a quarterback driven league nowadays. And when I was in college and getting ready to go to the pros, it wasn't like that, at least not yet. You saw some spread offenses, but spread offenses were relatively still new during that time. I was a rookie in 2012. So the NFL was still kind of in that evolution phase where the run game was still pretty prominent amongst most teams, around the league, right? It wasn't so much quarterback driven as it is now. And so I say that to say the transition, I think, it plays with the transition into the NFL. It's different now, and you hear a lot of guys at the skill position, wide receivers say comments like, I think Justin Jefferson just a few weeks ago made a comment like, the transition to the league was easy for me. I didn't think it was hard at all,
Right.
And I think that has a lot to do with how the game has evolved now. It's a quarterback driven league. So, receivers are running routes in space all the time. And like the thing is about the competition is, yes, you have some great corners in the NFL, but most guys are wanting to play offense these days. So you don't get as many great DBs as you used to get. And guys are so used to moving in space now. When you transition into the NFL, you're essentially playing the same game. So it makes it easier for guys, I think, a little bit more these days. Now, obviously, there's a lot more talent on the field and stuff like that, but the game is so much different. It makes it a little bit easier for these guys, I think, these days.
I feel like it kind of the way it transitioned, like how you said, like the offense is transitioning different. Like it's an air raid NFL now, and I feel like it hurts those traditional running backs because now these running backs got to come in the league, and you got to have hands. You just can't be that traditional ground and pound beast that running backs used to be back in the days. Now you got to be able to do your wheel routes, and you got to be able to catch out the backfield, and you got to be able to block, and you got to be able to do all these things. And it kind of, the way that, the wide receivers got more freedom and QBs got so much protection, I feel like the running backs just kind of get the shit end of the stick.
Well, it's a position that it's such a free position. Everything is based on really feel. Like you watch some tape and you study and you want to understand defense and alignments and what kind of formations they are defensively, how they move, slants and things like that. But at the end of the day, like you're reacting to everything. You get the ball early and everything just else is just kind of natural. At other positions, it's there's more technicalities to it. There's timing and you have to have, and there's technicalities to the running back position too, right? Because you got to be on the right path and the handoffs got to be clean and stuff like that. But when you're throwing the ball and doing some other things like, precision and, scanning a defense and reading and stuff like, there's just you got to be on the same page with another guy. You guys got to be seeing the same thing. I don't have to see anything anybody else sees as a runner. And so it's easier, like it's easier to find guys with great natural ability to just run the football.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Coming from, like, what was your hardest transition coming from college to the NFL? I know that you said, that these days with the air raid, playing in space makes it a lot easier. What was your hardest thing that you found was the toughest to translate over?
Yeah, honestly, nothing that had to do with on the field. One of the aspects that some people probably don't see when it comes to young NFL athletes is it's just how your life's changed, right? Because in college, you're playing football and you're going to school. I mean, there's other things that you're doing that is taking up majority of your day. You got study hall and things like that at night. But in football, and then obviously, when the season's over, a lot of people go home to their families and they're doing the family thing or whatever. Some people stay and go to summer school, get jobs, whatever, summer jobs, whatever. But in the NFL, like when the season is over, you literally have free time. And so how to utilize that is actually more of a learning process than you might think. How to manage your training, how to space it out from the end of the season to OTAs, and then going through OTAs, and then again from the end of OTAs to training camp. How does that scheduling and things like that work out for me, so I'm not overworking early and burn myself out before the season starts, or I don't get in it too late where I'm getting injured now during training camp early because of the way that my training regimen went, and those are learning things. You never had to do that in college. In college, your strength coach did all of that. They told you when to come back. You knew when to start. Boom, boom, boom. They had the whole process from start to finish, right? It was a 6-week training, whatever it was going to be. And boom, somebody did for it. In the NFL, you got to kind of figure that out, yourself. Now you have a trainer, and things like that. But as it pertains to learning that process, it takes time. It takes guys a couple years sometimes. That was the biggest learning hurdle for me. On the field, everything was natural for me. Protections, defenses and things like that. I had a great coaching staff in college. Now I went to Utah State, wasn't a huge school, but everything we did was pro style. Our protections, our protections, like in the NFL, it was 2-jet and 3-jet is like your basic, offensive protection. Running backs got Mike Sam to the safeties. Offensive line has the 4 down and the wheel, right?
Yep.
In college, we ran what's called 62 and 63 protection, which is basically the exact same thing, just called differently. So when it came to protections and it came to obviously running the football, that's natural. I was always great catching the ball out of the backfield. And one of the things that teams liked most about me really was my ability to pass block, which is another important aspect of playing the running back position. Coach Tuiaki, he's the defensive coordinator at BYU right now. His, like, when he became the running backs coach, 2009, our first staff was released. Coach Tuiaki, I would not even be in the NFL without him. I named my son after him. Like, he's a great coach. Great coach. He was all about pass blocking. We would, when we came out for practice and we had individual drills, I used to talk shit. I'm like, come on, coach. I'm trying to hit the ladder. I'm a running back. I want to work on my cuts, man. Nah, pass blocking every time. And it really developed my game and was one of really the great aspects of my game as a professional. And teams had a lot of interest in me because of it.
I think that's huge now, especially with running backs in the NFL, is pass blocking. You're an extra lineman. If you got the arms that you got, or the quads like Saquon is, you're just a big ass body.
I will say that that's probably one part of the game that has stayed the same for the running back position. Because when you were coming out of college, it was like, yo, you got to see the hole, you got to hit the hole. They close a lot quicker in the NFL. And a lot of that is true still, but defenses are so spread out now more that it's easier to find those lanes. And those other offenses, like what the Tennessee Titans do, that's why Derrick Henry is the number one running back in the league to me, because of how he really, they run a type of offense, man. You really got to hit that thing. You got to see it. You got to hit it right now. You know what I mean?
And it's hard to take a man down that big.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But the thing that hasn't really changed is the fact that you're going to have to pass block as a running back, no matter what kind of you spread offense, pro style offense, wishbone offense, whatever, you're going to have to pass block. And so that's one of the things that's really been consistent for the running back position.
So Hector kind of brought it up, and it kind of deviates from our little question sheet here, but a buddy of ours in our media group wanted me to ask something along these lines. How did you get those arms, man? What is the training regimen that I can get? Because I have a big head, right? Like, this is not a small dome piece. How your arms are as big as my head. What do I have to do that?
Man, let me tell you something, man. When you're a young boy and your older brother is 13 years older than you, and you got young uncles who are just swole, you have no choice.
Those are self-defense arms.
You're doing push-ups at 4. You're taking the clothes off of the rack in your closet to do pull-ups. Like, it's a wrap. Like, when you grow up with folks like that, you have no choice, man.
And when he asked the question, I hadn't done the graphic for this episode yet. And so I'm looking through and I'm finding pictures. I'm like, oh, he wasn't playing. Oh, God. Let's make sure we ask him nice, easy questions, because he can throw me if you wanted to. But, so we kind of talked about you being drafted. You were drafted with your teammate, Bobby Wagner. What was that kind of situation like when you both got drafted? Did you immediately hit each other up, or did you see each other in the locker room?
How do you feel about this move that just happened for him?
Oh, man. First of all, I'll get to that. Let me answer the first question first. First, when we got drafted together, it was super unexpected, but it was amazing. It was like, man, we get to continue to be teammates again. From college, we trained together that off season up in Arizona. It was amazing experience, man, to just have, obviously, like, we went through the process together and everything like that. Like, we could lean on each other. So that was amazing, man. I was a little bit disappointed because I thought I was going to get picked earlier, but at the end of the day, I got to be teammates with B Wags, and that was super dope. But I love the fact that he's with the LA Rams. I know he was thinking about the Ravens, and a lot of it had to do with the fact that Ray Lewis is really his idol. He's the one. That's why like he idolized. He talked about Ray Lewis a lot in college, and really, it's funny because he would have loved to play for the Ravens for that reason. It's kind of funny because when I was growing up, play Madden, create a player. I always created a player, and I always played for the Ravens when I did it. Like, I wanted to be it was like that was like my childhood NFL team. Like, when I was in college and I was, I would leave, I meet someone or whatever. I tell them, like, yeah, I play NFL. I'm a running back. I play for the Ravens, even though I was only in college,
Everybody got
the game. But I wanted to play for the Ravens, man, hella bad. So I know he was considering them, and obviously they got a pretty good team. I think they're on the decline, but the Rams was the perfect choice. Hometown. He gets to finish his career home. You know what I mean? And that part of it was important to him too.
I just think, and it sucks, I think Seattle did him kind of dirty. I really think Seattle.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm gonna be real. Seattle. It's so hard these days. You have to look at it from the front office perspective too, because who was our tight end when I was playing? God, I always.
Jimmy Graham was with you guys for a while.
Yeah, no, but it was before Jimmy Graham. It was Zach Thomas. No, is it Zach Thomas? It's killing me. I know his first name was Zach for sure.
We're gonna have to look that up.
Maybe you guys can look
Good
that
name.
up real quick. He was number 86. Really good tight end. Wasn't gonna wow you, but like, jumping super high, wasn't super athletic, but always got his job done. When Bobby tweeted that out, he tweeted, when he got released.
Zach Miller.
Zach Miller. Thank you. Zach Miller. So Zach tweeted, he said, yeah, man, I didn't have that same experience. When I got released, they sat me down and, say, hey, we're going to let you go,
Right.
And I didn't tweet this out, but I thought to myself, I said, when I read that tweet, I said, it was the same for me, actually. Like when John and Pete decided to move on from me, they called me in, they sat me down, and we had a short conversation about it. A lot of it had to do with the fact that I had a high ankle sprain week 3 of that preseason, and so I was going to be out the first 7 weeks of the regular season.
Right.
It's just like, one roster spot may not sound like a lot, but it's that 53rd roster spot is important. And so you certainly don't want to sit there for 7 weeks with a 53rd roster spot given to an injured player, So they let me go, and so I just feel like it's so hard these days because I genuinely, and I could be wrong, I really could, but I genuinely feel like that wasn't their intent, Pete and John. I mean, like I said, I mentioned the tweet by Zach. I didn't have that same experience, but you never know. People can change or whatever. But I just think it's so hard these days because how many times have we seen social media get to everything before we do? You know what I mean? Like, and that's just these are the times that we're living in, so I don't really think that was their intent. I think that the information got out and, that's just how transactions happen in the league. Adam Schefter is on top of all of that shit all the time, bruh. The
He's
team
not
don't have
Tom
time to
Brady's
tell you.
Sometimes
Talk to Adam Schefter. He's the blame for this shit.
Sometimes.
He's the blame, bruh. I'm telling you.
We're gonna get him on in the
The
future.
other day, I had a. I'm not gonna lie. The other day we recorded. I had a shit on Adam Schefter because he posted that James Conner got traded, and it wasn't James Conner. It was Edmonds, but he put James Conner's picture up on Instagram.
That's funny.
Like, yo, bro, what are you doing?
Okay, hey, you know what? Adam's allowed to slip up one time. That boy, that man is sharp.
I know he be on it.
He's the reason why people on live TV are able to get on their phones now. He's the reason.
Yeah, because anytime
you
see him pick
on live TV on his phone, getting updates.
You never know. We can't yell at the man. I mean, you never know what news is going to break when Adam Schefter goes to his phone. You never know what GM or what players in his inbox saying, "Hey, by the way,"
Right. So,
so we kind of. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead. You good?
I was just going to ask you. So, kind of before we hopped on, we were talking about your New York City Super Bowl experience. Kind of, walk us through what it's like. I mean, just playing on a team through the playoffs. Like, does the locker room obviously the locker room's got to change. There's no way you keep your cool and you're like, oh yeah, it's just the wild card game. Oh, it's just the divisional game. Oh, it's just the conference championship. Oh, it's just there's no way it's another day at the office.
I mean, it sounds cliche, but that's how we prepared. I don't even know how to put in words, the Super Bowl, the week leading up to the Super Bowl, like just being in New York the whole week. Y'all, like, I'm trying to, you guys don't understand, like, just how lit everything was every day. Like, and just the whole experience alone, aside from the game, was just amazing. Just networking and all the people that you meet, people that you just dreamed of meeting.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so dope, man. And obviously being able to share that type of moment with people that you love and that were, there for you, that you've known forever. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many aspects and so many different directions I can go when talking about like the Super Bowl experience,
For sure.
And I haven't even said anything about the game yet. That just winning and everything that happens afterwards. New York, being in New York, I told you before the show, like New York, I fantasized about going to New York, for all the childhood movies that I watched, and just being a kid from the West Coast, it's New York City. You know what I mean? Like it's
Mecca.
Broadway, and Broadway wasn't I didn't, Broadway was whatever it is, but the way Broadway made New York look, you know what I mean? Just I don't know. In my Twitter on my Twitter page, I used to, before I retired, I had how you can put where your location is.
Right.
My location would be big games and bright lights.
Hey.
New York City had those bright, like I love playing under the lights. Monday night football, Friday night football in high school. I mean,
Oh, for sure.
in Pop Warner, we used to get one night game a year. That was the game. That was like, you know what I
That's the
mean?
Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was the game, man. So it's all special, man. It's really special.
What was it like? I got a question for. What was it like? Because obviously you're part of the iconic Legion of fucking Boom, Seattle Seahawks. Like they're just a dominant fucking team. Like this team is going to go down in history. What was it like to be part of that? And when did you guys like accept what media was putting out for you guys as the Legion of Boom, like that team?
Again, man, like it's so like special. Special is the word. I was really blessed. Like careers can go any direction. You never know when you get drafted. Like it's just, you never know what kind of team you're gonna have. All of your experiences and all the things that you learn. To be a part of the Legion of Boom era was just like when you go to other teams, you know what I mean? And like you play for other teams and you just see the culture and how it is and the difference. And you see like why some teams win and why others lose, and you see it from a
Don't worry, we're Jets fans. We know.
Yeah, man. We see it from an organizational standpoint. As you grow in the league, you start to understand it more and more. When I look back on it now, that was really special. There was just nothing like it. Every day was a challenge, like a real challenge. Every single day, it was a battle between best and best, like who we just all thought we were the best, and it just made for every practice. And not to say that we didn't have bad practices or didn't have, every team is going to have their moments, right? You're going to go through some things that really have to test like who you are and your will and your unity, really, right? We see teams fall apart, you know what I mean? Everybody's high-fiving, and then all of a sudden it's boom, there's division. We saw it in the Chiefs in the playoffs last year on the sidelines. You know what I mean? And so, that aspect of it, man, it was really real. And I was able to witness, not only witness some of the best at their position, but also get to know these guys as people. You know what I mean? And be able to like pick up the phone and send a text or go kick it or come to my charity event, all like, and this is, best of the best. You know
For
what I'm
real. I
saying?
mean, shit, you got to play in the Super Bowl against Peyton Manning and Von Miller. I mean, you on your side got Russell Wilson, Marshawn Lynch, like you. I mean, it was an iconic fucking matchup.
It was, man. And then when you think about it too, it was a bunch of guys, just a bunch of guys. Like you had Earl Thomas, who was a first round pick, and then you had Marshawn, who was a first round pick to Buffalo. You know what I mean? Other than that, it was, it was thirds and fourths and sixes, and you know what I'm saying? Like just guys, bro, getting it, just really getting it done. Like, yeah, man, it's just being able to play with some of the best, having that bring the absolute best out of you, because I've seen the other way on other teams. I've seen it differently. I've seen it look differently. You know what I'm saying? Playing for other teams and stuff like that. So man, after you go through those experiences and then you look back, you realize like, wow, Seattle, that team, that Legion of Boom era was a really, really special time. And I'm blessed to have been able to be drafted in it. It's crazy because I was pissed off after I got drafted. Fourth round, like I was super disappointed. I thought I was going to the Ravens. Not that I didn't want to go to Seattle, but I was just disappointed being drafted in the first round. I remember talking to John Stein on the phone. He's like, Turbo, and I'm like, yeah, thanks. He's like, man, you don't sound. I'm happy. I'm good. Everything is good. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, thinking back, so I'm looking back on it now, it's just like, man, it's like, despite me being disappointed at draft day, I am like happy as hell about that result. Now that I look back on it, man, I could have been drafted to the Browns, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Could have been worse.
Let's just be real. I could have been drafted to the Detroit Lions. Like it all been great. It would have all been great opportunities, man. But I would have never experienced the things that I was able to experience during my time in Seattle, man. So I'm super grateful for that.
James from Boda is not going to be happy about that comment.
One of our boys runs a show Pound for Pound. He's a diehard Browns fan, the poor guy. But I got to talk about it, man. You guys climbed the mountaintop. You won. You come back next season, have a stellar season. You get back to the mountaintop and heartbreak. I don't mean to like drive the point home, but just in devastating fashion. What I guess walk me through that. If you want, you can talk about the decision.
Chaos, really. Disbelief, just shock, pure shock, real shock, where it doesn't even, it's like those kind of shocks where it doesn't seem real. Like, nah, I'm about to wake up, like I'm about to wake up and the real thing is about to happen. That's how I felt. That's how I felt, amongst all of us on the sideline. I remember when we broke the huddle and we were in shotgun, and I'm telling you guys, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I would have bet everything, every piece of paper I got, whatever, home, car, computer, PlayStation 5, whatever, that we were going to be running probably some sort of read zone play with Marshawn and Russ. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, first of all, we're in shotgun. I'm like, it's cool. I know what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're running read zone. It's all good. You know what I mean? And so, for it to not be a run play was just that alone was a shocker. And then what actually happened was just like, it was just like a 1-2, boom, boom. You know what I mean? From Tyson or somebody, Muhammad Ali, like it was boom, boom. And it was just like, what just happened?
Right.
Trust me, being Jets fans, we enjoy any time Tom Brady can take an L.
Sure.
We enjoy that. We embrace that. And
so
we really wish that you guys pulled that one out, because I have a firm belief in that if you guys actually pulled out that second Super Bowl, that Legion of Boom, that team, that what you guys had built probably would have won at least another one or maybe two.
No, I agree. I was just gonna say before you finish that was the turning point of the franchise. Really, it was just, earlier I talked about unity when I was referring to the season before, and I mean we had that same kind of thing the season after, but that game alone broke it. It just broke it. Like I can't even describe it any other way. Like I can't sugarcoat it. I can't be like, oh, this and that. Nah, bro. That game broke everything. It just, and we were never able to. We just couldn't glue the pieces back together. Like from the start, from the beginning of April or mid-April when OTA starts, the beginning of April, or excuse me, the beginning of OTAs, phase one, it was broken, dude. Like it was just a different energy.
Sure.
And it's not like guys didn't try. Don't get me wrong. Guys, guys tried. The Seahawks, pulled together a couple good seasons still,
For sure.
after that. And then they kept most of the guys at least another 2 years, after that, but guys started getting injured, things start happening. But see, I'm a believer in, like you mentioned, you said if we won, you feel like we would have won another one, maybe two, right? I feel the same way because I mean, I don't want to get all like spiritual or whatever you want to call it, but just like I don't know, like divine stuff. Like if we win another one, I feel like the injuries that started happening don't happen. You know what I mean? Like it's just like a
Right.
fate kind of
I
thing.
just feel like it's a
That,
vibe thing. You win
yeah,
that game, and your team is just like, bro, 2 in a row. We got a quarterback only 3 years,
let's
4 years in
go.
the league. The
God,
defense is
bruh,
so freaking young. The
I'm
running backs are
telling
so
you.
fucking young.
Yes. Yes. I
And
agree
I
100%.
and I said it maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago. We had spoken about the Seahawks not too long ago in one of our episodes, and I said it, and I said what I said when I said it. I was like, that Super Bowl, that interception, that loss, dismantled that
It broke it,
dynasty.
bro. It,
Mm-hmm.
it completely broke it, man. Because we were all, I mean, listen, when we won the Super Bowl the year before, I believe we were the youngest team in the league, if not the second. So we were one of the youngest teams in the league. So we come back next year, win it again. We got guys just entering their primes. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like even including our Dub, B Wags. We
Mm-hmm.
came in, all three of us came in the same year. The year we lost the Super Bowl was our third year in the league, bro.
Right.
That's it. You know what I mean? Like, man, we just became teenagers and shit in the league. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, man, but we couldn't recover. Like, couldn't recover, man. It's tough.
Speaking of like things getting broken and not being able to recover, I know we talked about your thoughts on the Bobby Wagner situation. Talk to me about Russell Wilson, man. Like as a former Seahawks player, as someone who played with him and got drafted with him. Like, what is Hector said he's been saying for a while that he thought the Broncos and that he thought Russell was going to get traded. It hit me like a fucking baseball bat from left field. I never saw it coming. Well, can you kind of speak to that situation? What do you think about it? And are you surprised? Are you not?
I'm not surprised. I didn't think it would happen this year, though. I thought that they would, you know, they would give it out. They would give it one more year, you know. But I think in hindsight, it was the best decision for both sides. And if you look at it from the Seahawks, well, if you look at it from Russell's standpoint, you get, you get a fresh start. You're still relatively young for the quarterback position. And the fact of the matter is, things just haven't gone well the last, few seasons in Seattle. You just got to look at the facts sometimes. He's like, what is it? I think he's 1-4 in his last 5 playoff starts.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, you just, you're not getting it done. You know what I'm saying? So it's time to part ways. And, yeah, there's some things out there about, him not getting along necessarily or not being on the same page 100% with Coach Carroll. And that's accurate, but that happens around the league. Tom Brady wasn't always on the same page with Bill Belichick. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and as you saw with those guys, it was a relationship that just, at that time, it's like, man, listen, we did what we did and we gutted it out, but it's time to go our separate ways. And that's exactly what happened here with Russell Wilson as well. But if you look at it from the Seahawks standpoint, it's just like, well, yeah, we got a big question mark at the quarterback position, but we saved some money. We have options in the draft if we want to go there. There's there's not great quarterbacks in the trade, but there's formidable ones. Don't there's formidable ones. Don't forget the fact that before the Seahawks even drafted Russell Wilson, they gave Matt Flynn a big contract to be their starting quarterback, actually. Matt Flynn doesn't blow your socks off, right? But he's a guy that was able to get the job done,
Sure.
and did well backing up Aaron Rodgers. And so if you take Matt Flynn with Marshawn Lynch and a Legion of Boom, who knows what you're able to do? You don't have to have a superstar quarterback to win the Super Bowl. Russell Wilson, for example, only in his second year when we won the title, right? He comes in, he takes Matt Flynn's job. And so if you look at it from the Seahawks standpoint, they're like, well, when we won the Super Bowl, what do we have? We had a dominant defense, a great running back, and a quarterback that was good. It could make some plays, didn't turn the ball over, but certainly wasn't the Russell Wilson that we all talk about now.
Fair
Right.
enough.
So from the Seahawks standpoint, it's like, listen, we still got Jamal Adams. We still got my boy Quandre Diggs playing the other safety spot. You have Jordan Brooks, who was right behind Bobby Wagner in all his numbers last year at the linebacker position. You got Darrell Taylor, who's their defensive end, who is growing, obviously, as a young player. And then you have some other spots to fill. You still got DK. You're probably going to end up trading Tyler, but you got the guy at the Temple last year. Can't think of his name. Ended up getting hurt because of a concussion, but a very, very versatile and talented player. So, listen, I'm not saying the Seahawks are going to be, great this year, but they're certainly not as in deep of a hole as people think they are. You know what I mean? They get to move forward now, and they have a lot of flexibility. With still some key cornerstone players, especially on your defense, Quandre Diggs, Jamal Adams. So that's key.
I mean, speaking of Jamal Adams,
I didn't mean to get all NFL analysts on you right there.
Wow.
My bad.
I love it. I love it. If you want to call your people over at the Seahawks, I'll call my people over at the Jets. We'll give you the 10 pick back for DK Metcalf. Speaking of pieces and flexibility, it's something that I think New York and Seattle can both agree to.
I think DK will end up being on the move. I think he's going to end up being on the move. Probably not this season, but they're not gonna give him a new deal.
I don't see it either. I don't think DK's gonna. I don't think he was happy that Russ left. I don't think DK, after being 2 or 3 seasons in already, he doesn't just want some rookie quarterback or some guy that may or may not pan out.
Right, and that might be true too. But thinking about it from a business standpoint is, the thing that I learned, if there's one thing that I learned during my 8 seasons as a pro, is to try to think about things from both perspectives. I'm a player, so I have that perspective automatically. My dream job, though, actually is to be a general manager one day. But even aside from that, that's the point, is to be able to see from both. So be the GM. Sometimes as players, if we just sat down for a second and say, you know what, if I were the GM, what would I do? Would I have cut myself? And be real. As a general manager, not like no feelings involved, as a straight business decision that you have to make. If you were sitting in that seat, right, what would you do? And your perspective changes after that. So that's one thing I learned to do during my 8 years as a pro. And so when I look at it in the DK situation, from a general manager front office standpoint, DK's probably going to want close to number 1 receiver money. And if you are the Seahawks and you think about it realistically, not saying DK is a bad player, not saying he's one of the best players, he's still ascending. I think he still has a lot of room to grow. But the Seahawks may not feel it's worth it. That dollar amount may not be worth it for what he's given them over the last, after this season will be 4 seasons. I don't know the numbers, Pro Bowls, those kind of things matter, man. You know what I'm saying? Sure. Like, you know what I mean? Like, It's part of your argument. That's part of your resume. You know, like, hey, yay, 4 years I've been here, made the Pro Bowl every year. You know, whew, I'm expensive. You know what I'm saying?
Fair
So
enough, and that's where a good agent comes into play because they're trying to sell that contract. They're trying to sell that big dollars.
yeah.
So before we switch out of the football talk, what would be your biggest NFL memory from your time spent as a player? Like the most favorite memory that you can think of. I feel like the Super Bowl win is probably up there, but
Yeah, man. I hate to be cliche because I'm not a cliche personality, but that week, that Super Bowl week was really special. That game, after the game, you know, it was
I
words
mean,
can't even describe it. I'm not, being drafted is cool, and you know, there's been other special, moments. But I can't really think of one that beats that one right now.
I mean
I was about
it's
to say,
winning the
when you
Super
win it
Bowl.
all, you win it all. You on top of the world at that point.
Yeah.
Right. It's climbing Mount Everest. It's doing the thing that little kids dream about playing in their front yards, you know what I mean? Or down at the local park. I mean, I don't think that's cliche at all. I don't know if I could think of, if I played in the NFL, a better scenario, or better memory than winning the Super Bowl, watching the clocks hit all zeros as my team has the lead. I don't know if I could imagine anything
Saying
better.
I'm going to Disney fucking World at the end. Like,
Right.
So, man, post football's been busy for you, man. I mean, you haven't sat back on your hands and just kind of lived life, having played in the NFL and having lived out most dreams. You know, like you said, you still have a dream job, which when we spoke originally is probably the craziest thing I could ever imagine, is being that like ambitious and that awesome. Like if I were to have ever played in the NFL and ever won the Super Bowl, I don't care if I was a boy, like that's the height of my ambitions. That's it. It's over with. So kind of talk to us about, you have your Robert Turbin football academy. You've got running for you. Talk to us a little bit about that. I want to make sure that we, take a couple of minutes here at the end to talk about all the philanthropy and amazing things that you do.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. Man, it's been a fun journey. I mean, post football is, it can be difficult for a lot of guys. And when you spend your whole life preparing for something, dreaming about something, and you're able to accomplish it, and then then it ends. It's just like, man, this is not supposed to end. Like you
For
understand
sure.
it's to end, but a lot of times it's not on your own terms. It's not when you're ready, you know, and so that can be a difficult period of time to go through. But it's important to have goals. My goal growing up was always to be a professional athlete, and I didn't specifically decide on football until I was a sophomore in high school. And so when you have a goal like that and you know it, um, and for me, I knew it so young. I was able to then apply my entire life to achieving it. You know, and sometimes when you don't have goals, you're not moving towards something specific. You're just kind of going through life, which is not always a bad thing, man. But at some point, you got to be able to lock in on something that drives you, or you love, or just makes you feel different. For me, that was sports, and I had to identify that again. After retiring and not playing anymore, and stuff like that. And so that could be difficult, but I love seeing the game from a front office perspective. I don't know. It drives me, and so it gives me something to work towards. But I've also enjoyed doing things like this, podcasting, and some other entertainment and TV stuff. So I've gotten involved with CBS and doing TV for them, and I just got hired to Sirius XM Radio last week.
Hey, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. So I'll be doing some stuff with them, and I launched my broadcasting career last year in Seattle. Doing a live broadcast on the radio for
For
all the
sure.
Seahawks games and stuff like that, man. And so, I've been able to identify, new purpose and new goals and have goals, and so you don't always have to have like one major goal. Like for me, that would be being an NBA GM, but you can certainly have, small ones and things like that, man. It just, it keeps you going.
For
Has
sure.
has anyone reached out to you about being a coach in the NFL, a running back coach, an assistant coach,
Yeah.
offensive coordinator, or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah, coaching was something that I thought I really wanted to do. That's a good question. And I even changed my major from journalism to sociology when I was in college because I wanted to learn about people and I wanted to learn people's mannerisms and what they potentially mean and stuff like that. And I felt like that was important to have in your arsenal as a coach because you're dealing with X amount of personalities. And so, you have to be able to lead each individual a certain way to get the best out of them. That's why, you see some of these great coaches, man. I mean, man, to get that many personalities on the same page is just it's phenomenal. It's taken for granted even a lot. And so it's something that I thought I wanted to do early, but after going through the league and experiencing it and seeing and watching other coaches experience what they go through, it's not something that I want to do, at least not right now. Maybe when I'm older, I can coach like some high school team or something like that,
There
for
you go.
free, whatever. But I'm much more interested in the business aspect of things and being able to then, make an impact on people's lives that way. Because as a coach, you gotta be impactful in people's lives, you know
Hmm.
but I think that's even in business as well. And so, maybe one day, but a coach's life is really tough, man. Especially at the college level, recruiting at the NFL level, they're like players. They, you might coach 3 different teams in 3 years.
Hmm.
And that's just not some. I already went through that as a player. Not something I'm interested in going through as a coach.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, like I said, man, talk to us about the philanthropy stuff that you do. Talk to us about, like running for you and about the charity event that you had on Saturday. I want all fans to hear about it and find out how they can help you out, be it donations or volunteering or whatever the deal may be.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. Run a Few Foundation geared towards people who have MS and cerebral palsy. My oldest sister passed away of MS. She was
God bless.
21, and my
R.I.P.
other older sister was born with a pretty severe form of cerebral palsy. And so, yeah, man, near and dear to obviously my heart and everything like that, connected to it. So I do events in my hometown where I went to college and things like that. I love spending time and being a part of the community. But a lot of those proceeds are going to the foundation and things like that, man. So, yeah, one of the big things for me when I was coming up was, people would ask me like, what are some of the reasons why you want to be successful in life? And my number one reason would be so that I have the opportunity to give back and show other young kids that no matter where you come from or no matter your circumstance, you can be anything you want to be. You can achieve anything that you want to achieve, man. You just gotta sincerely set your mind to it. I know all of that sounds cliche, man, but it's the
It's true.
truth, for with me, so do the foundation stuff, man. We just had our event last Saturday. It's an alumni basketball game, man, and it's just a real charm um, to be a part of, to have been able to sustain this long, even after canceling the event, 2 years in a row, and
Sure.
really being unsure at the start of preparation this year when we decided we were going to go after it again. And so it was, I keep using the word special, but it was a special day, a special night, Saturday, with everybody in the neighborhood coming out to see some alumni, athletes that went to Irvington High School play against the varsity boys and girls that are representing our school and everything we stand for right now, and be able to battle out for the trophy. And I give this MVP award every year to to a person who has really overcome, circumstances and things like that to be able to play in this game. It's not that the MVP award is not about like stats or anything like that. It's, like the first year there's a kid, his name is Garrett Ramos, and he had kidney disease, kidney cancer.
Oh shit.
He developed just as a freshman in high school. And so he was playing football and he was on the freshman team, but it was just like he was struggling with breathing and everything like that. So, he had to quit, and they started doing these exams and stuff on him, man. It's like, man, your kidneys are failing. And so he's got two older brothers, Trevor and Justin. And, Justin and I were the same grade all the way from kindergarten through through high school. They lived right around the corner from me, and so I knew the whole family. His dad was a cop. His dad was a detective. He had the big ass fucking police dog and shit. Every time I walked in the house, is barking at me. I'm spooked. I was spooked as hell. Like, he can't come in the house when I'm there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. But Garrett, man, he was never able to play any sports. I mean, this is an athletic family. We all played baseball, basketball, and football together. And he wasn't able to do any of that during his 4 years of high school, man. And so he ended up getting a kidney transplant. They found a match. And so the first time he was able to play in a game at Irvington was the first year that I had my event.
That's awesome.
Team. He came to every practice. And that's the MVP.
That's
To me,
awesome.
that's the definition of MVP, and so he got the MVP award that year. And it gets, it can get intimate too, especially that moment right there, because people aren't expecting it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And this year, this girl, her name is Hannah Lee. She got it this year because I started this event 2017. And 2018, Hannah was on the team and she got hurt, so she couldn't play. And then in 2018, in 2018, she was supposed to play, and we got all the way up till 2 weeks before the event and found out she couldn't play because of eligibility reasons. She was going to college. And so it's like, oh, because of your eligibility, you actually can. So all the practices, everything, and she couldn't play.
That's so messed up.
Yeah. And then the third year that she was going to be on the team, this is 2020. This is the third year. We had to cancel the event because of COVID.
Sure.
All the practice, we're just a couple of weeks out. And so she comes back again this year to be on the team. And it was smooth sailing. So to me, just everything that she endured, and for her to be able to stay committed to wanting to be a part of this event, the importance it is, because I'm not the only one giving back.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like, a lot of these alumni players haven't been Irvington in 5-10 years, haven't picked up a basketball in such and such years. And so they're giving back too. We all walk the same hallways and stuff like that. We all have these new memories, and now we're creating new ones. So it's a really special event. And then you have, like, this year was really cool on the varsity team. There was a freshman. Usually freshmen aren't allowed to play. It's supposed to be only seniors and some juniors, the varsity boys and girls. But we had a freshman on the team because I guess his sister was a senior. So it was like they wanted to play on the same team. And then on our team, there's these two brothers and a sister, Nicole, Sean, and Scott. All right. They're brother and sister, right?
Right.
All went to Irvington. They have a younger brother who's on the varsity team. So they got to play in the real game against their younger brother. The whole family came out.
That's awesome.
So it was like it's special. It was special for them. It's always it's like we've had guys on the team who have children. And it was like, yo, I got to see my mom or my dad like playing this game, and it's a real game. We're playing for the trophy. We got referees. We're throwing shit in the stands during timeouts like they do in the NBA. There's a lot that goes into it. I'm really passionate about it. So when that means I could probably talk for hours about it. So I won't bore you guys.
We love to hear it.
Anything that has to do with giving back to the people I'm breaking down the tape are all for it.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. So it was dope to be able to bring it back. We were really blessed to be able to bring it back, and do it again this year. And all the feedback was really positive. This was going to be my last one. I wasn't even going to do another one. I was like, you know what? I'm done after this.
Wow.
But one of my guys actually, the first 10 seconds of the game tore his Achilles. His name is Serge Chavez. Like I graduated high school in 2007. I think he might have graduated in like 16.
Wow.
So he's a young man, big dude, tore his Achilles. And Serge is one of those dudes, man. Like we have practice and he'll like after practice be running laps around the track. We're talking about people. Here's the thing, like we're talking about people who haven't played sports, organized sports in I don't know how long.
Right.
Like, and to see, like for me, it's still young for me, right? I haven't been away from the game for that long. Before when I was doing the event, I didn't even know what it looked like. I hadn't even seen it from that perspective before. I'm in it.
Right.
So I know what it feels to be in it all the time.
Yeah.
For these guys, it's always so interesting to see it get relit again. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Some of these, some stopped after high school or college or junior college or whatever. So what's interesting to see is no matter when it stopped for you, your competitive edge never leaves and never goes away. There's a lot of cool stuff, man, that goes into it, man. But to be able to, put together a team of random people like this and develop new relationships and share a space that we've all shared before. We may not all have necessarily shared it together, but we're sharing it together now. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not trying to get too deep with the shit, but I'm just telling you, like, that's kind of how deep it is, bro. The community shit is for real.
For sure, man. That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Like Hector said, we all in favor of supporting it. So before we let you go, man, definitely let the people know again where to find you, where to find your foundation, how they can donate, how they can help. And then we'll wrap this up.
Yeah, man. All my social media handles, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube channel, all at Robert J. Turbin. If you want to find out about my upcoming events or football camps or anything like that, all the information about my foundation, if you want to donate to it, it's at robertjturbin.com. Okay. So, yeah, man, pretty easy.
I love it. Hector, you know what to do, brother.
You guys already know we're coming down to the wire. It's the end. And I just want to say thank you, Robert. Fuck. We got a member of one of the most iconic teams in NFL history to come on, shed some light, shed some stories. And Bill Budd, this one's for you. I've spoken to a member of your favorite team. Like I've done this. and I said what I said. Thank you, Robert. Man, this was number 22 for you guys.
Thanks for having me, guys. I had a lot of fun, and maybe I'll be back again.
Hell yeah.
We would love it.
You guys gotta have me on as a guest, man, for one of the live games when you breaking shit down.
Most that.
Sold. Be careful what you wish for.
All right. I'm gonna hold you to it.
All right.
We're gonna hold you to it. You're more busier than us. You're more busier than us.
Appreciate you, man. We appreciate you having us coming on with us as I get tongue tied here, and we'll talk soon, brother.
All right, man. Take care.